What is going on, guys? The is all gaming with my review of Soda Online 2 Episode 1. And I'll be honest, this episode right here, it definitely wasn't that special because really nothing happened. We should learn, a bunch of stuff really, but overall, nothing really happened. So this review right here, it definitely should not be that long. But the episode itself, it starts so where we're already in the game of Gun Gun Gale Online. And we see now that the first city that we see, it definitely looks awesome. I do like the animation because Sword Art Online always had good animation, and of course this right here will be no difference. But we see now that we go to some bar, and we see that on this TV in the bar we have these three people talking. Like two of them are players, and one of them is a female that's like interviewing them. But the main guy here who is doing all this talking, I believe his name was ZXC, something like that. But apparently this guy here, his character, it was very fast because he is based on the agile, character base. So obviously I believe he was fast because I recall some players talking about him always bragging and believing him. And we see now that apparently this guy, he's really good. Apparently, he had won something pretty big, and that right there allowed him to be on TV. Because obviously he had a chance to be on something called MMO stream, and of course he wanted to take a chance at like a chance at it and say what was on his mind. And we see now that some of the things he was saying, it was definitely getting to the other players, and it was definitely making them upset. And we see now one guy, he has this cape and hood over his body, so we can't see him at first. But when he does get up and he actually walks to the TV, we see now that he pulls out this gun, and he starts talking about this justice or judgment and his power. And apparently he really hated this guy, and he wanted to make him pay. And we see now that the other players that were in there, they were like just laughing, kind of like mocking him, because it's like, what can he do? Right now he's at the bar while this guy is having this interview, and we just see out of nowhere he actually fired his gun, and we see that it does hit the TV. And of course, it hits the guy on the TV. And at first you think, nothing going to happen because we just see these players, they start laughing at him. And now we see that out of nowhere, this guy that he was saying, that he can make him, face judgment. We see that he actually, look like he's in a extreme amount of pain. And just out of nowhere, he disconnects. And so now you have all the guys in the bar, they're like freaking out because they're wondering what happened. But apparently this guy and the gun that he uses, they both have one and the same name, and it's called Death Gun. And that right there, it was definitely an interesting, an interesting start to the series, because it makes you wonder, who this guy exactly and why they doing this, because you just never kill a player like that, especially in that way. I'm pretty sure that right there, it was definitely unheard of. But now we go back to the real world where we see that the Asura, I believe that was the name. Asura, that's it. We have her now, and she was like thinking about what was the difference between the virtual world and the real world. And we have Kirito, now coming there, and he was saying that the only difference, it was the amount of information. And that right there, to be honest, it did make me think about what he mean, and I don't mind that they go into detail about that, because that right there was like one of the main things that they were actually talking about. And so apparently these two were going on a date, and it was funny because they actually wore similar clothes to what they wore inside the game. And now we see that the only reason why Kirito, why he like wearing so much black, it was because all of the other clothes, they were just washed by his sister. And so Asuna, she was saying that's why he did not let his laundry, pile up like that. But right now they were actually going to go out look for some clothes. But to be honest, we never really told them to do that, because we see that they had went to this park, and of course they were like walking and talking. And I'm pretty sure if you're like watching this review, that you like watch the episode, so I don't want to go into that much detail about it. But we actually learned that they actually took this survey about what they would do, once they get out of school. And so Asuna, she had asked Kirito about his future, and apparently he actually, wants to go from being a player in a game to being a creator, but he actually doesn't want to make games, but he want to make something bigger than that, and it's definitely doable. And when they brought up Yui, I forgot exactly how you say her name, but when they brought her up, I do wonder if she will somehow appear in the new game, because obviously Kirito will go in there at some point, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. But I do wonder if she would appear, because Asuna, she had made the mistake of saying that she always wanted to be with Kirito, and at first she was like pulling it off, and she tried to change it up, and we see now that that apparently with whatever Kirito is planning to do, he might be able to actually allow Yui to be there in the world, in the real world with them, at least in some kind of form, and that would definitely be interesting. But then we go to I believe it was like some kind of flashback of sort, where we have Kirito. He is now meeting with this one guy, and this guy right here, he is pretty much the leader of the virtual division, and it's kind of like the other people that were kind of like taking care of all the players that were like still trapped in the game, because this guy, he was the first one that Kirito actually ran into when he had woke up. And so now we see that when Kirito does join them, we see now that the reason that he invited him here, able to tell him what was going on in Gun Gale Online. And we actually learned that this game, it's actually pretty intense, because it's like only pro players play this game, because they can make real money off of it. But we learned that not only did that first guy die in this, but there was also another case where a player that was actually going to meet his guild, he had also died as well. And so both players have both died of acute heart failure. And so right now they were also killed by the same person, Death Gun. And so pretty much this guy that invited Kirito out here, he actually wants him to go into the game, and like Kirito said, to go get shot, because apparently this leader of the virtual division, he wants Kirito to go in there and make contact with Death Gun. And so right now, Kirito is asking him, why not go to the company directly? Because this right here could be a pretty big problem with like players dying in the game. But because they have servers in the US, it's very difficult to get in touch with them, because their email, phone numbers, I believe even their their main building, all that information is confidential. And because of the seed that we saw in the first series, which allows so many people to make their own game, that right there, allowed a bunch of shady companies, to get in there and get involved. So right now, they really can't get in touch with that company. So the only way to figure out what's going on is to go in there directly. And Kirito was saying that even though he was good, at Sword Art Online or in the other game, ALO, it might not be that easy, to get in there, because he was good, but at the same time, he was not surrounded by pros like he would be in this one. And so right now, this guy, he eventually does get Kirito, to go in there, and that right there is where we kind of go back to where he was having his date with Asuna. And so right now, Asuna was saying that she had figured out why Kirito, had brought her there. And I thought maybe, he was going to tell her that he was going back into the game, because he was saying, or we learned that almost a year has passed since the story of Sword Art Online, the original series. Almost a year had passed since then, and Kirito was so close to putting that behind him, but he's now going back in there. And so right now he cannot bring himself to tell Asana the truth. So even though he not tell her right then, he definitely will. There is no way that he would go into that game and not tell her. But eventually their date does come to an end, and we have her wanting to bring what was that girl name? It was the blacksmith that we saw in the first series. I forgot her name, but I'm pretty sure most of you guys probably remember her. But they want to bring her and Leva, who we all know as Kirito's sister. They want to bring those two out there, and all of them will have lunch together when it becomes spring. Because right now I believe it's like the fall for them. But we actually do get, like some kind of action, at the end, because we actually do go into the game, and we see, just like new character here. It's like the main female that we saw in the trailers. We saw now that she was kind of like stalking this group, and we see that she is talking to the person, through some kind of communication, and we see now that the distance between her and the group, it was like pretty great. And the guy she was talking to even asked her if she was sure she can do this, but she had confidence, and we see that she like definitely has some skill, because we saw her took out that first guy with no problem at all. So that right there was impressive. But like I said, overall this episode, it was definitely like not that special, because we should have got like a ton of information. So overall, I'll probably give maybe a 7 out of 10. But of course, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. But as always, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because that really helps me out. And you guys take it easy, and I will see you all next time.